I've come to the Old Goods Yard in Bangor, which is where artist Wanda Zyborska has her studio. Now, Wanda is my mother-in-law, but she's also the artist who designed the cover of my new album. So we're going to go into her studio and have a bit of a look around and have a chat and just find out what her process is and how she came up with the idea. So there you go. So the album's done. The artwork is all complete and I know you've worked really hard on it. I just really love it and I think it really depicts the album perfectly. But it'd be really interesting to see how you got there because it's quite an unusual image. I see you've got different images in front of us here.
Yeah, I've put them in the order that I did them because when it came up I had to sort of try and get some ideas, and I was also restricted because of course lockdown had already started when you asked me to do it, and I had to kind of think. I really wanted to make it suit the album and how I felt about it, and also I had to think what's going to fit into my small scanner. I've only got an A4 scanner, so it had to be small, and I thought it had to be square, and I didn't realise that it actually was slightly landscape, but anyway, so I had to square it off and have something small enough to fit into the scanner, so I had to work in this quite small scale. And also I was trying to think of an image that would suit all the songs. It's all about women and women's experiences, strong women, women who are beleaguered, all the different kinds of life experiences, and also quite dark, which really attracted to me. Some of them, the rabbit hole, Into the Woods.
So you were talking about how you felt that the songs had a feminist feel to them and that you were attracted to the darkness and the fairy tale theme that runs through a lot of the songs. Did that have something to do with the reason why you've gone for this image?
What I would usually do is I use a lot of automatic drawing, sort of surrealist technique of just drawing from the imagination, and I've done a huge amount of live drawing, so I've sort of got enough knowledge of the body to get something bodily. It would normally be less realistic, so there was a challenge for me to make something slightly more graphic but still to keep the kind of qualities that interested me. And I suppose I was trying to think of, say, Rodin's done a beautiful series of quick drawings of dancers while they were moving. So I think I might have been slightly influenced by that in the back of my mind. But I started with this one, just did a drawing of this dancer and thinking of the woods, and one of them there's a box, isn't there? One of the imagery is going down the rabbit hole. So it was kind of fitting in. I was thinking of this kind of symbolic woman who was thinking of something quite large, although it's small drawing. Yeah. In my mind it was of a large shape. Slightly bowed down, but also with some kind of energy of the dance, so trying to keep some kind of movement in it. So I did this one quite quickly, and with watercolours very wet you get this kind of staining, or it does, you don't know what it's going to do, or at least I don't, because not very technical watercolours, but I like that accidental thing with the wet.
Because she is clearly a woman, but she's not particularly feminine, is she? And the position, like you say, she's almost dancing, but she's also like she's in a box. Because when you showed me that first one, I thought there's definitely something in this that kind of makes sense to me with the way I wrote the songs.
Sometimes you don't really know what it's coming from. I was just playing really when I did it. But I think as well, perhaps being constrained to such a small size and in this square as well. And I think because it was in lockdown, quite often with art and with music as well, I think there's a kind of prescience with art, like the early expressionists in Germany. Some of their paintings look like they're about the war or even about Auschwitz before it happened. And you look at them and think, it's surprised at the date that they were done. And I think there's a feeling in some of the songs, with the boxes and that kind of, there's some women who are constrained and then escape from that. To me, this is my response to it.
Well, there's a lot of that, because Ghosts in the Past is kind of based on the Salem witch trials. Into the Woods is about escaping into the woods but finding your power amongst the trees. But that's definitely a big part of the album.
And I really love that, and it really came across to me. It is that thing of, because Into the Woods was always, the woods were the place that bad things happen, like Little Red Riding Hood and everything.
Yeah.
But it's also a place of the wild witches and all that kind of thing. But I think as well, perhaps it's echoing how I was feeling in lockdown, or maybe still am feeling.
Yeah, we're still in it.
Still in it, really, that containment. So it reflected that. And anyway, I did this one, and it felt like it wasn't quite kind of graphic enough. Strong enough maybe for something to hold an album cover. Yeah. But I liked the figure. So I tried to do it again. So I did this one with really bright colours, and it was the wrong colour. It took me a long time to do them at first, thinking about it, and now I can do the drawing quite quickly. Yeah. I never do the same drawing again. It's the first time I've ever really tried to do that.
They are so similar. You can tell they're part of a series, but each woman looks different, and she gives you a different feeling.
Yeah, they have got really different moods, haven't they?
Yeah. From the way the arm is hanging down there compared to the first one, the arm is sort of over the head, and this one she's kind of like she's picking something from the ground. Yeah.
It's much more earthed down and weighty and heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
This one was quite kind of ethereal and very much as if she's off in her own head, sort of internalised. This one's drawn to the ground. It's like a more ponderous, like a statue or something. She's like made of mud or something.
Yeah, and that's when you start to introduce the rabbits as well.
That's I was trying to think of getting more of the imagery to get some of the narrative. Practicing doing lots of rabbits and my little bits of thing.
And it's funny because even though they haven't made it onto the cover, they have made it onto the inside. Yeah. Because obviously the cover is the most important bit, but I kind of like those rabbits so much. They did make it on to the album. Yes. Because that's something I didn't think about at the time, is obviously inside the album you need to be able to write stuff and you need to have a plain background, but it also needs to tie in with the cover. So that's how they were so useful, really.
Yeah, and they're using the same colour, so tied in. After the red one, I went on to this one, which I didn't feel was successful. I don't know, the blue somehow didn't work. I still had it in my mind to be trying to do strong graphic colours. Yeah. And it was just a bit wishy.
That could have gone in the direction of sort of Atlantis, which is one of the tracks. Because it was having the blue kind of made me think about that song.
And then I started using a different technique because I wanted to block out some of the areas to put washes over. So I bought this gum stuff, which I put on this one that I was doing earlier, it goes a kind of yellow colour on it. And what you're supposed to do is you block out wherever you don't want the paint to go with this, paint that on, and then you can paint over with nice wet paint.
Okay.
And it doesn't, and then you can rub this off afterwards and you've got white.
So it's like a waterproof kind of sealant.
That's right, it's like a waterproof sealant that you can peel off. Once you put the paint on, then when it's dried you can rub this off. But when I started to rub it off, I started getting these textures that I really liked. Yeah. So I left it.
So that's not what it's intended for.
No, that's not how you're supposed to.
That's kind of like a happy accident.
I really love accident, you know. And I thought, I like this. I'm not going to finish peeling it off, and put some other colours on. Yeah. And try that, and started introducing trees. I spoke before about thinking of these as large scale figures. Yeah. Kind of like big in the landscape. So if I put small trees in the woods, then it would make them look bigger. In the image. Yeah. So I put this row of small trees, which I got from Leonora Carrington. I'm a big fan of Leonora Carrington.
I really liked those trees. That's another thing that made it onto another page of the album, was the back. You used a tree for that. They were really good. Because we had this thought of Gulliver's Travels. That was in my mind as well when you first showed me the first image, was this kind of giant woman creature, and it's got that, and with the trees it does make you feel like she's huge.
Again, it was a bit bright, so just getting the darkness. This is the final one where I just felt it had the kind of escaping but still dancing, so there's a kind of feeling of movement and running and a rhythm. The dancing brings in a rhythm, so it was really interesting process for me.
the final piece, it is kind of like a skin or a dead skin, or, you know, like hatching out of some egg. It's this kind of ugliness to her, but she still looks really beautiful. It's interesting how that's happened, really, but that's kind of what it makes me feel when I see her. I think she's really beautiful, but you can't really put your finger on why she's beautiful.
And I do think that you need a certain amount of ugliness for me to have beauty, but also I think it adds that dimension, because there's themes of transformation in quite a few of the songs, isn't there? You know, people have been through something and finding their strength or escaping from something or moving on to something else. Like when a snake's losing its skin, or I think you mentioned that coming out of an egg when you've got it that's still got bits of membrane or something. So it could be sort of tattered clothing, but it could also be someone who's going through some kind of transformation.
Yeah, definitely. When you look closely, it's you can see the texture. You can see kind of like you just want to, like I now just want to go there and pick it off, like peel it off. Like, you know, when you put glue on your hand and you peel it off. It's like that.
Or paint bubbles on the door. Yeah. It gives it a different kind of texture, which I don't know any other way to do that. It's a new thing for me. It makes it a bit more like printmaking as well, in a way, which is a different layer. But
that's great. So then the third track on the album is Boxes, which is a really long song on the album.
One of my favourites, Boxes.
And we've cut that down. That was like 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's now 5. It's like the longest
we tried.
Yeah. But it sort of wants to be that long, doesn't it?
And I think that's really important. And for me, it's that where I think a lot of writers go wrong is when you you do it when you're young in your career. So you sort of like, oh, I want to sound like so-and-so, or I want to be like, that's how we all get inspired.
Yeah.
But you've got to let that go at some point, because that will hold you back. And I think it's when writers kind of go, no, the song has to be like that. I want it to sound like that. And you're just not letting it breathe. Yeah. And like you say with Boxes, if it needs to be 5 minutes long, then it's 5 minutes long. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's in a funny tuning as well on the guitar, and it's been really difficult to try and remember how to play it.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person now.
Yeah, so it was a bit of an experiment. But yeah, no, I like that as well, and it's nice in the album as the third track, because it gives you a bit of a breather from the sort of franticness of Rabbit Hole and Into the Woods. Yeah, it's like, let's have a little bit of guitar, plinky.
There's a band that I really like called Touring Breaks, and there's some little bits in that with the acoustic, the way it follows that drop in, ding ding ding, there's sort of lines and stuff. Yeah, that sort of borrowed some ideas there. But it's really nice when you punctuate bits of acoustic, and I think that's what that's got, is that it's not, like you say, it's not built around particularly big rhythms like the others,
No, true. Yeah, so Boxes is really about sort of the magical nature of boxes, really, and how it's in a lot of folk tales, and but also kind of in our daily life, how we sort of hold on to all these memories that we have and things that we just keep in boxes, and what are the things that you keep in boxes that are meaningful to you, and what actually should you just chuck away, and it's having that sort of trying to have that balance in your life of holding on and letting go.
I really like that, because I wrote something myself recently called Backpack, which is like similar idea, really, is how we carry these things around with us, and it's a really good sort of it just symbolises, doesn't it, quite quickly for people, that idea of carrying something with you and then letting it go, like
exactly. Because like some things now, I'll like maybe a box in the attic in my mum's house or something, I'll look in and there'll be something that belonged to like my grandma or something, like a really nice, it's just something, like a bit of jewellery or a letter or something, and that's like really cool. And then, I'm just thinking, when I'm old, like my grandkids or whatever open a box that I've got, and then what are they going to see inside? Is it just going to be a bunch of crap that
they're not going to see what you're seeing?
What is this? Why does she keep this? Or are they going to be like, oh wow, this is magical, like all the crap.
I think it's that thing as well, that, like you say, about, I suppose it's going back to the whole songwriting thing of being able to let, the more mature you get as a writer, is being, and confident in yourself, is being able to let things go. You might think, that was my favourite bit when you were, but it just doesn't work now. So save it for another day. But it's when you try and force things, and if you think about sort of like what you're saying about boxes or backpacks, whatever, or just the way we carry things with us, good and bad, is finding that maturity to be able to let stuff go. You know, otherwise, forcing things, you know, keeping things that don't need to be kept.
Exactly.
It's just like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Great. It's a great metaphor for life.
It
Yeah.
is indeed. All these things are mine, mine alone. Kept for so long, I forgot. Now where will I put all these things? These things that I've earned, that I took, that I have. Why have I held on to you? What do you give? How do you love? Can this be defined? I'm defined too much by you, and I have boxes. I will take you with me, I promise, in all these boxes. Secrets of my young heart are locked, sealed in this paper and ink. Some things you just can't throw away, though it hurts you to hate anyone to see or anyone to touch. They're not made of gold or fragile glass or worth that much. So why have I held on to you with nothing to give and all out of love? But I've a record here, have a witness here. I am defined too much by you, and I have boxes. I will take you with me, I promise, in all these boxes. I'll keep you hidden and I'll look at you when I am old. Everything's forgiven, it's a story I want to be told. 'Cause it is beautiful that I have loved in such a way. Little reminders here in boxes that I stored away. And I know you've got boxes of your own.